I'd like to call to order
Very nice.
the Clarkson
Yeah, okay.
Independence District Library Board of Trustees meeting for
Okay.
May 16th.
She helped me get in there.
Oh, the meeting is called to order at, oh, we're here for meeting. It's 6:35. We've been catching up. Sorry. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Jan Gaffney, absent. Dan Green.
Here.
Allison McFadden Keesman.
Here.
Nancy Moon, absent. Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Ann Rose.
Here.
Chris Schell.
Here.
And here.
Okay. At this time, I'll call for the approval of the agenda.
So move.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Call to the public.
Can I move this down a bit and feel okay?
Attention everyone, the House 101 is in the conference room. If anybody is interested in the House Hunting 101 class, it is in the conference room. Thank you.
Well, as everyone knows, we had our spring book sale, and I think we did very well. The net profit was $8,378.29. Looking at the cart sales out in the hallway, so far this year we've made $1,284.13. And I was reminded that we have a vintage book link now at the reading market. We've been doing a lot better with the vintage books. And so you can go to the reading market and there is a link there if you want to look at vintage books. And we had 3 renewals and 1 new member at the book sale.
Thank you. Good news is,
That's
great.
That's really good news.
Felt a little bit like back to normal almost.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That closes our call to the public. I'll accept the motion for approval of the consent agenda.
So move.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as presented. There are several items there, 6 of them. Does anyone want to question any one of them? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is approved. Okay, library statistics.
We are caught up on our statistics finally. You have both March and April in your packet. I'm going to point your attention to page 3 of your statistical report, which is the 2022 monthly summary. You'll notice that our visitor count has been growing since January, which is nice, 5,700, a little bit lower in February, but up in March, 7,300, and then up to like over 8,000 in April. Our circulation has grown since January from 19,000 up to 21,000 in April. Computer users, we're seeing some growth in computer users. More people are coming in to use the computers, which is nice. Information questions are in the 800 to 900 range. And we are seeing we saw a lot of downloadables used in January and also in March, a little bit lower in February and April, but still nice high numbers there. Wireless also has been pretty consistent. February is a little bit lower, but we're back up to 3,500 wireless users. Study rooms are getting used. Programs, it's all good. We're seeing good solid numbers again. It's starting to feel a little bit more like pre-COVID. So
excellent. Any questions or comments? Sounds good. We're moving back into the real world. Yes. All right, the library director's report.
We have quite a lot on my report today. The first thing I did want to point your attention to is that we do have a COVID update. This update actually was something that happened late last week, which Oakland County is now in the high COVID spread. We were at medium and now we are at high. Under high, wearing a mask indoors in public is recommended, staying up to date with COVID-19 vaccines, getting tested if you have symptoms, and additional precautions if you are at high risk for severe illness. So we do have that in your packet so that you know. We are not mandating masks in the library. We're still leaving people to choose what they feel is best for them based on precautions that they may have taken. But we are trying to make sure that the staff is aware of those the current circumstances. Okay, so for the rest of my report, on May 2nd, the library began its transition from Evance calendar software to local hop event and room reservation software. Staff training took place on May 6th. The new software has a number of features that have been needed, and while the complete transition will take a few weeks to complete, we are already finding ways that this change will streamline program registration and room reservations. Next item, during the pandemic, the library board made the decision to provide additional well-being support for the staff by investing in an employee assistance program. This plan, hosted by Alliance in Troy, provides 24/7 access to counseling, life coaching, and support services for the staff and board, as well as their spouses, partners, and dependents. Staff was provided with an orientation webinar, receives regular e-newsletters and reminders about webinars and services from Alliance, and a monthly reminder email from me linking them to the orientation video and access instructions. While completely confidential, we do receive a summary of the services used. The report for 2021 has been provided to the board. While there are ups and downs in usage, the overall data indicates that the service is beneficial and the methods we are using to assure staff is aware of the support are working. In addition, our rep was really impressed with how evenly used our service is, and when he asked how we were doing that, and I explained that I send out this monthly reminder, and he said, we'll keep doing it because it's working, because people obviously are finding it. And one of the ways that they are identifying that they're finding out about it is through HR, which is me. Okay, next item. Ian Reese of Gabriel Company was here to complete the field work for the library's audit on Monday, May 9th. The day went smoothly, and Ian let us know that he has submitted the draft of our audit to the company's principal auditor for review. Once this review is complete, the library will do its final review, and the audit will be submitted to the state. The audit must be submitted by June 30th. The auditor will present the 2021 audit to the board this summer. Interestingly, about a half an hour before the meeting, I got an email from Ian saying, here's your audit. So the principal has finished reviewing it, and I will be finishing that up probably this week and getting it in. So we are well ahead of the deadline. As reported in April, there is a project that will be collaboratively paid for by the remainder of the Women's Club funds, along with the support from the Friends of the Library, to install a garden kaleidoscope planter on the library grounds, honoring the Women's Club for starting this library in 1954. After an email conversation with the artist and a meeting with the concrete contractor about pouring the slab, we believe it may be possible to have this piece installed in time for the Clarkston Farm and Garden Club garden walk on July 20th, which starts here at the library. There are still some details to work out, but we are hopeful that families will be enjoying this wonderful interactive piece of art before the end of this summer. Originally, when I talked to the artist, he said 8 to 9 months out, and then I called him about finalizing, and he said 4 to 6 weeks. So he must be caught up. A few months ago, we had a new alarm installed on the fire suppression system that will alert our alarm monitoring company and in turn staff in the fire department if the pressure on the system drops to a level that would cause it to arm. This would give us time to respond and intervene to prevent the costly draining of the system when it arms when unneeded. The panel that runs the system is original to the building, 1992, and there have been issues trying to connect the new alarm. The facilities coordinator and I are working with the fire department and alarm specialists to determine how to proceed, and we'll keep the board informed as we work out the options. Just not a board meeting if we don't talk about fire suppression. Okay, next item, we have received word from Library Design Associates that some of the pieces of our various projects are beginning to arrive at their warehouse. Carpet and tables for the community meeting room, which is this space, carpet for the teen lounge, and the office furniture have been delivered. They are looking at potentially scheduling some of the work and delivery to take place within the next 3 weeks. In terms of collaborations, as Laura pointed out, the Friends of the Library did hold their traditional indoor in-person book sale, spring book sale, April 27th through the 30th. I wanted to point out we were grateful to have the added assistance from the Community Impact Weekend volunteers on the Saturday of setup and the National Honor Society volunteers setup weekend and throughout the sale week. It has been 2 years since the sale has been held, but it was put together well and was a huge success, and thank you to the Friends for all your hard work. Each year, the Clarkston Area Youth Assistance, KAYA, hosts a Youth Recognition Award ceremony to celebrate students in grades K through 12, working on their own well-being and demonstrating concern for the well-being of others in our community. This year's event took place on April 20th, and I was honored to MC this program that recognized 64 of our local students for leadership, volunteering, compassion and empathy, overcoming challenges, positive choices, and standing up for others. An affirmation describing the individual's accomplishments was read aloud so that each student could have their moment to be honored and congratulated by family and the community leaders, and it was a really, really nice ceremony. And last, after 2 years in a virtual format, on Wednesday, May 11th, the Clarkston Community Awards Breakfast returned as an in-person celebration. In its 37th year, this event brings the community together to recognize outstanding people, organizations, and endeavors that make Clarkston great. The library has been involved in the committee that plans this event. This year's return was a great success.
Thank you. It is good to have good news.
Lots of good news. Yep.
All right, let's move to regular business. So we have more good news. Number 1, first quarter financial review.
Okay, so you have that first quarter financial report in your packet. The accountant puts this together for us, and I will review the data. So the first column is the budget as written and approved by the library board. The second column is the 3-month budget. So if we were spending the money evenly throughout the year at the 3-month mark, this is how much we should have spent. The third column is the 3-month actual, so that would be what we have actually spent. And then the last column would be the amount that is left. So the first part of this is the revenues. We do still have some revenues that are coming in, nothing that I'm overly concerned about. We have state aid, which does not come in until July and usually September or possibly August. So that's not of a concern yet. The interest income, that's something that comes out in throughout the year, so that's also not a concern. We've actually taken in more than expected in book fines so far, or not fines, but book fees so far this year. So people paying off books that they have lost and that sort of thing. Penal fine money does not come in until summer, so that's not a concern at this point. It's not time yet. And E-rate rebate doesn't come until the end of the year. So those are all things that, nothing of concern. So going down into the expenditures, full-time wages, we are under budget in that 3-month mark. Part-time wages, we are also under budget at that 3-month mark. So of course that it would follow that FICA is under budget. Health insurance, I'm going to keep an eye on that one because we've had some changes to the coverage of some employees, but that I always keep a very close eye on throughout each quarter. And then if we need to make an adjustment at the end of the year to make sure we can accommodate that, we can do so. Life insurance, retirement, workers' comp, disability, all of those things are in good shape. In terms of books and acquisitions, the staff, in terms of their purchasing, they need to pick up the pace a little bit, but so far so good. They're keeping right in budget. On the next page, when we get to those professional fees, obviously we haven't spent the audit money yet because the audit's not done yet, so that one would be something that we wouldn't expect to have done yet. That will come as one fee, though. That won't be something we'll spend quarterly. That will be a one-time check. Legal fees, we have a couple of little projects in the work with the attorney, but obviously we're under budget there. Professional and contract services, I'm gonna keep an eye on that one. That one is one of those ones that we don't spend at a very regular pace. That's very project centered, so we might spend a lot of it very, in the first quarter, and then maybe in the second quarter we wouldn't have as much. Sometimes in the summer we don't have as much in professional and contract services. That's things like graphic design work and special projects and things like that. In the summer when we're really busy with the patrons, those things don't happen. They tend to be the things that we use leading up to summer. So, special events, we're in good shape on all of those. There is one unusual one here that the campaigns and promotions money has actually gone into that line item, and I think that that is an error. I'm going to check into that. When the Friends of the Library pay for something, we sometimes will pay for something in advance and they reimburse us and it goes back into the pass-through, it goes back into the library line item that it came out of. And I think that that expenditure must not have been in 760. I think it was probably in one of the other lines, so I will double check that one. Either that or they gave us the money before we made the expenditure, which would be extremely unusual. Other things that are in here, telephone, not worried about that. Insurance is the one that, remember, we paid for in the first half of the year. There were 4 payments, and by the middle of the year, we paid all of it. So the fact that that one looks like it's way over budget is not of a concern, because it's not going to be terrible. Once we get to July, all the payments will be made, and that will be the end of that. Heat, obviously, we probably spent a lot of heat in the beginning of the year and at the end of the year when winter is here, and in the summer not so much. Electrical, we're in good shape, but who knows how that'll look once we get to summer and the air conditioners are on all the time. We haven't had that problem yet, so we'll see how that goes. Same with water and sewer, buildings and grounds maintenance. Arlene's got a nice tight handle on that. She's keeping really good track of that line. Equipment maintenance is in good shape. All of these lines are really in good shape. Subscriptions is another one that while it looks like it's over budget, we pay those bills in chunks. We don't pay them evenly throughout the year. It's not like we're paying a monthly fee, so I'm not concerned about that one. And then the same thing with circulation supplies. We just ordered, knowing that we were going to be doing field trips with the schools, we just ordered lots of new library cards and things like that, so we're prepared for that. But then there probably won't be expenditures later on. Next in line is audiovisual. Those are all in really good shape. And hopping down to the one conferences and workshops 958. That one looks like we've spent a lot early on in the year, but remember you approved out-of-state travel for one of our employees, so he booked all of that in advance, but he's not going until October. So we've paid up front for that, and we also did the series of workshops. We bought all of those workshops for the staff. Everybody's going to those Pat Wagner webinars, a year worth of webinars and training, but we bought it all up on the upfront part of it, so I'm not worried about that one either. I also have in the building budget, it looks like money has been added, and it has. That would be reimbursements for the damage that was done to the office. So there were some things that the checks came in before they'd actually clear the bank account. So all that will settle itself shortly. Any questions about anything on the report? Okay. We'd like to say if we can't keep it together, at least for the first quarter. Nothing looks strange. We'd like to hope nothing looks strange in the first quarter, but you never know. As I said, I do have that one line that I think the money is in the wrong line, so we'll see if we can figure out what happened there.
We'll check on that one for the second quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you. Number 2, presentation of millage facts to know.
Okay, so now is the time that I am educating the staff about what it is that they need to know, the basics, and so I'd like to show you what I'm going to have them cover, what they need to know. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. the ballot language that will, that the board put together. And as you can see, it's a lot of text. You all know it's a lot of text. You've read it several times already. So shall the Clarkston Independence District Library, County of Oakland, State of Michigan be authorized to levy a millage annually in the amount not to exceed 1.1687 mils. Yeah. There's a lot here. It all legally has to be there. But what I would like to do is break it down and make it easier for everyone. So I'm going to put it into snippets for you. So the first thing, let's talk about the basics. Clarkston Independence District Library millage renewal question will appear on the ballot on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. First and foremost, that's the most important thing. Who will be voting on this? Independence Township and the City of the Village of Clarkston. It is a district, so both of those municipalities will see this on their ballot August 2nd. So what is this millage? It is a simple, straightforward renewal. This is a renewal of a previously authorized millage, not an increase or a new levy. So what are we doing? We're saying to the public, over the course of the past year, this is the service that we have been executing. Are you pleased with the service? Are you content with the service? We would like to keep doing this. That's what's on the ballot. So just a continuation of what we've been doing. The millage rate. The millage rate in question will be 1.1687 of 1 mil. That equals $1.16, well, $1.17 per $1,000 of taxable value on all taxable property in the district. Okay, so people who are following along with this are going to think, wait, 8 years ago we approved 1.25. This is 1.1687. Why is it lower? It is lower because as property values increase, the Headley Amendment rolls the millage rate down in order to balance things. So our millage rate began in 2014 at 1.25. It has rolled down to 1.1687. We are not asking the voters to go back up to 1.25. We are asking them to approve 1.1687, which is the rolled down Headley. If we were asking to approve 1.25, that would be considered an increase, and we don't want to increase it. This is a simple renewal. Okay, how much will this cost? The average homeowner is going to want to know that, right? So the average homeowner with a property having a market value of $330,000, I did talk about the city and the township in terms of property values, with a taxable value of approximately $150,000. Now, taxable value is a little bit variable, but usually it's around 50%-ish, usually a little bit lower than that. But these were the numbers that were given to me by the state, or by the township, the city, and the county. Anybody with a market value of approximately $330,000 would be paying approximately $175 per year for library service. So the millage details. The amount of money generated by this millage is estimated to be $2,326,325 for the first year. This is an 8-year millage. And this millage funding constitutes 95% of the library's operating budget. The remaining 5% of the library's budget comes from state aid, library fees, interest, and payments. Very simple. Okay, so what is this Brownfield Redevelopment Authority? At the very bottom of the millage language, you see this, where is it? Way here about a small portion, approximately $650 in 2021 of the revenue will be subject to capture by the Charter Township of Independence Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. What does that mean? That means that there is money that is being pulled out of the library's millage to help pay for an environmental cleanup of a past service station that was on the property at the corner of Dixie Highway and M15. This is the only property in the district that is subject to this. So let's talk about that a little bit more. What does that mean? That means that instead of the library getting that $650 that would be coming from the taxes of that property, that money goes to the county to pay for the fact that they cleaned up that service station. So which property is that? That's the one that's at Dixie and M15 that includes Crispelli's and Jersey Mike's and T-Mobile, exactly. Yep. So that's that property. And for those of you who have lived in the township a long time, you'll remember that that was a service station, and it sat empty for a number of years, and the gas tanks underneath leaked, and the county came in and cleaned it up, and the county needs to be reimbursed for that cleanup so that that particular property could be used again. and that's where that money comes from. So why is it in the ballot language? Well, let's talk about that ballot language. It says, for the purpose of providing funds for all district library purposes authorized by law. So we need to tell, by law, we have to tell the taxpayers that any of our millage is going to a non-library purpose. Environmental cleanup is a non-library purpose. So we are being completely transparent. $650 of our money every year goes to help pay for an environmental cleanup that happened. And it will for several years to come until they get this all done.
And it is not money coming from
It
the
is-
taxpayers of the district, it's
Nope.
coming from that property.
It's only coming from that property. It is not coming from anywhere else. But because some of this money in the budget that is supposed to pay for library services for all of you, you need to know that it's going to a non-library purpose. $650, it's not bad. So, any questions about any of this?
Very clear.
That's a lot of text. Whoops. It's a lot of text, but the very breakdown is very simple. It is very, very important that everybody understand that all of this wordiness is just a simple rule.
Yeah, I like the way you broke it down.
I did too, I was thinking the bullets are so clear.
Yes.
I'm taking it.
Yes, and I definitely, that I provide that to the staff because they will get asked questions. And it is really important that we are providing an educational campaign so that people know that this is what's going on. So, any other questions about this?
All right, very good. And there are certainly a lot of these various villages on the ballot.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Not all here, but in the county.
They are in the county. As far as I can tell by looking at what's on there, there are not any other villages in the township or the city on the ballot.
Right.
They are on the ballot, as far as local is concerned. So,
All right, okay. Any questions or comments?
I think it was very thorough. It sounds like a lot of the things that I've been saying, and now I know that I'm saying
you're
you correctly.
good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. Well, mostly this is the presentation I will be doing for the staff so that they know the details because there will be a lot of questions over the course of the summer. But I first and foremost wanted you to hear this information so that you would know.
Are you thinking about having any meetings, people want to come in and talk about this?
So one of the things that we're doing, I'm working with our PR staff, and we are making sure that all the information will be on the library's website. We're going to have a frequently asked questions page. We're going to do a recording similar to this information that's very quick and easy that people could watch at any time. We'll push that out through social media. We will do a mailing in the summertime so that people know that it's going to be on the ballot and exactly what the details are. I will make myself available for presentations. I have a feeling because it is just a renewal that there may not be a lot of interest in those kind of things. I'm always happy to talk to people about library. That's just that's my thing. But definitely I will make myself available and we'll make presentations possible. So,
Okay, very clear, thank you. All right, let's move on to a review of the meeting room policy.
Okay, the library has a meeting room policy and a business center use policy. Due to changes caused by COVID and changes in the way meeting rooms, including the business center, are being used, as well as the addition of the new room reservation software, an updated draft of the meeting room policy is being presented. This revised policy merges and streamlines the rules, scheduling fees of the rooms that are available to the public in response to those various changes. So please note the current meeting room policy and the current business center use policy are included in the packet. And then there's also another document in there that says draft. So the first two documents that are in there are the current policies, and the one that says draft is the merging of those two policies. So just a couple of things that I wanted to point out. Basically, we're maintaining most of the same language, but the two policies sort of said all the same things a little bit differently. The thing that we do want to point out to you that has changed due to COVID are the rooms that are available. So the community meeting room is available. looking at the wrong one, hold on, sorry. Maybe that's what I just told you all not to do. I told you to look at the new policy, not at the draft, and the old policy, I'm looking at the old one, I'm like, wait. Okay, there we go. I didn't go far enough. Okay, so the community meeting room is available. We are going to make one uniform price for that. That is what we are proposing, $30 an hour, with a 2-hour reservation minimum required. The conference room, we would like to switch that to being free of charge. That would be a maximum 2-hour reservation being allowed because it is a free room, and then walk-in use would be permitted if the room is not reserved. And the business center all along has been free of charge. It also has a maximum 2-hour reservation, and walk-in use is permitted if it's not reserved. We do use, for that particular room, in order to make sure that it turns over, we use the same procedure that we would use for the study rooms to assure that people can have the room for an hour, as long as no one is waiting, they can stay a little longer, but they might get bumped if somebody comes in, and they need to understand that. So what is different from the other one is that the youth activities room used to be the room that was available for free. But we have sort of taken that over for library projects, we do so much in there in terms of filming our virtual programs and the green screen and all those kinds of things that that room is no longer really available to the public. Now, the conference room used to be a computer lab that we turned into a meeting room, so we were just switching from using the youth activities room as a room to the conference room as a room. The conference room is actually a nice room since it has a smart board like the business center has, but it holds a bigger group of people, and it is still free. So that's a nice thing to be able to offer that we're not able to offer before. So, other things, Nicole, that we should point out? Anything else that you?
In the meeting policy or just in general?
Just in general in terms of this policy. But those were the big things. We
Those were the
rearranged
big
the
things,
rooms.
yeah.
Okay. We decided streamlining the pricing would be easier. It made more sense based on the new software that we were using as well, so.
And
Most of the people who were using it were $30 an hour people anyway, so we decided it was sort of overkill to have this extra pricing structure for no reason.
Now, does that include like the senior center? You know, I know they come here for like movies and that sort of thing.
So when it comes to it being a program that's collaboratively hosted by the library and the senior center together, obviously we don't charge the senior center for the room because we're showing the movie and they're bringing their folks over here, so it's actually technically our program.
Okay.
So, yeah, things like that, we don't charge them for that because that would be a co-hosted program. And we do have in there that it doesn't, that the policy and the fee structure doesn't apply to co-hosted programs. Good question, thank you for pointing that out.
Took a while to go through all of that, didn't it?
it did, yes.
All
But
right.
I think it's really nice to have it all in one policy, and to have everything seem very similar versus like the business center having separate rules, the meeting room, the conference room. I think it just gets a little confusing for people trying to look and see what room they would like.
And one of the things that we had before was an application process. In our new software, when you sign up for the room, we can attach questions to it that we can get the information that we need, so we don't have to have a separate form. They can, even if they do it over the phone, we can fill it out for them as we take the registration, so, or the reservation, so it's much more efficient. So the software is part of the impetus for changing the policy. Makes it easier.
Okay, are there any questions or comments?
No, nicely done. Not easy to organize.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, I'll accept a motion.
I move to approve the updated meeting room policy and repeal the business center use policy.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we update the meeting room policy and repeal the business center use policy. Any comments or questions? Thorough presentation, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
And when does this take effect?
When you vote.
No, that's a good question though. That's a good question. That's the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. As soon as the board approves it, it would become a live policy, and we'll email out to the staff tomorrow and post it on the website and
Okay.
get it changed over right away. Yep.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye again.
Aye.
And to be clear, want to be clear, anyone opposed? Nay? Good, motion is approved and will take place soon, immediately.
Yeah, we will get it all posted too. I'll get it posted tomorrow. Thank you for helping me with that, Chris. I should have made that clearer as well.
Okay. Next, number 4, review of emergency paid sick leave policy.
Okay. In June of 2020, the library board approved an emergency paid sick leave policy in response to the COVID pandemic. The policy provided paid sick time for all employees who were being tested or tested positive for COVID in an effort to discourage temptation to work while sick and risk infecting coworkers. The policy was effective until December 31st, 2020, and was extended by the board through 2021. We are still experiencing occasional staff outbreaks and want to continue to encourage staff to get tested and stay home until they recover from COVID in order to prevent further spread of the virus. So what I am proposing tonight is to extend this policy from April 1st, 2020 through August 31st of 2022, and then we can revisit it at that time if needed.
I think that part is important.
But that would get us at least through the summer. Well, I'm hoping we're going to get to a point where it won't be such a big deal. But we've had a couple of outbreaks, and we just don't want people to feel tempted to come in at this point, especially now that we're seeing this high communicability of this.
Right, because, well, we're all tired of it. It's actually not gone.
Not quite gone yet.
Still there.
It's still here, so.
All right, any questions about that? We're in the midst of it, so we understand.
The troubling part is we are seeing a few libraries, and we don't want to be put in a position, businesses as well, where one person gets it, and if they spread it to a bunch of people that are in the same department, then you lose all those employees in that department while they recover. And there was a local library, a nearby library, that had to close for a few days because they simply didn't have the staff because they had too many people that were sick. Nobody was detrimentally sick, but they couldn't come in because it's so contagious. So we need people to stay home and take care of themselves if they're not well, and we don't want them to be tempted. So.
Okay, that's very clear. I'll accept a motion.
I move to approve the emergency paid sick leave policy to cover April 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2022.
Second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the emergency paid leave policy to cover April 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2022. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very clear. And I will now accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries, and we are adjourned at 7:14.